Hello, good afternoon. Thank you for coming. After coffee break and everything, it's glad to see that so many people showed up. So my name is Carlos Sanchez, and I'm going to talk to you about Jenkins X. So let's just start asking you some questions to see if you are awake. Who is using Kubernetes today? All right, yeah. Who is using Jenkins? Who is using Jenkins on Kubernetes? A lot of people. OK. So I'm an engineer at CloudBees, and I'm the author of Jenkins Kubernetes plugin. So all of you that are using Jenkins on Kubernetes probably know who I am because you thought about me when things broke on your setup, probably. So now you can put a face to that pain. And my story comes from the development side. I'm a long-time Apache contributor, Apache Maven, that either you love or you hate, but nobody's indifferent about that. And other open source projects, and now at Jenkins community. And I'm also part of the Google Developer Experts on the program for the work we do with Google Kubernetes Engine and stuff like that. So I hope you don't like slides, because this is the only one I have. So let's go let's start showing you an example of a development lifecycle. I have this application running here. It's called Croc Hunter. Let me refresh. And let me refresh this one. So this is the staging environment. If you see the URL, it says staging at the top. Of course, the Wi-Fi is not working. And well, let's see. Yeah, I'll try the other Wi-Fi in a second, and that's. So I have the same application deployed in both staging and production. I'll go to all right. Staging. So Croc Hunter, you see that at the bottom it says release 0058 and the commit ID where this was built from. And Croc Hunter is this awesome game where you can just shoot lasers to crocodiles, right? I could be playing this forever, but I only have 35 minutes, so I'm only going to play for 30. And then I have the same thing running in production, which is 0058, so it's the same version and the same everything. And of course, it's the same application. I have my project in GitHub, and I decided, it's not very environmental friendly to shoot lasers to crocodiles, which, by the way, this is a game that was created by Lachlan that from Microsoft. Is the credit where it's due. And I want to change this application, and I want to make sure that this is a bit more friendly, environmentally friendly. I want to make a small change here. And I'm going to create a new commit and say no lasers. And I'm going to create a new branch called no lasers. And I'm going to create a pull request for it. Yeah, no lasers. Sure. So what's going to happen here is that you have noticed that my bot has immediately commented on my pull request. My bot is saying, this pull request is not approved, so I'm not going to merge it. Also has added the size extra small because the change is really small. And I have some checks that have been triggered, and one of the checks is serverless Jenkins. So serverless Jenkins is one of the latest projects we are working on, and it's been running here in this setup as part of Jenkins X. There's going to be another check being triggered in a second, but Jenkins X is running on a Kubernetes cluster, and while this is building, I'll show you a little bit what's behind the scenes. I have a Kubernetes cluster on GKE, and I have, I believe, 3 nodes running. And this cluster is auto-scaling. I have its auto-scaling enabled here somewhere. Auto-scaling is on. So I have infinite scale by some definition of infinite. And every time I get a new build, a new Jenkins serverless is going to be launched. What that means is I don't have Jenkins masters running. I don't have to have anything running. If I don't have any builds running, my cluster will auto-scale down. And if I had 1,000 builds running at the same time, my cluster will auto-scale up. So serverless Jenkins combined with auto-scaling platform like GKE or auto-scaling and any other Kubernetes cluster, that gives me all the benefits of serverless, of not paying when nothing is used, and pay for what you use in a real environment. So this was pretty fast, actually. And you see that I have a comment in my pull request that says my pull request is built and available in a preview environment here, and I got a link. So if I go to that link, I can see that my release is now PR24, and the commit is a different commit ID. And if I try my pull request, I see that now my changes are in this staging pull request environment. So I'm throwing fish, OK. OK, I'll stop now because I get dragged along. So my changes are working fine. I can see my PR. I can see how everything is fine. And so I see there's 2 checks happening here. Serverless Jenkins has succeeded, and Tide, it's pending. It says needs approved label. So I can interact with this chatbot, and there's multiple commands I can use. So oops, I can do meow. And my bot will respond to my commands. All right. So that itself is very useful, but I can also do some less useful things like say approve. Right? And my bot, what it's gonna do is gonna add the approve label, and Tide will move from the pending state to approve the state and will automatically merge my pull request. And that all happened right now. OK? So the PR is approved. The pull request has been approved by me. And the pull request is, this is done. OK? So what's happening behind the scenes now is my pull request is merged into master. So if when my pull request is merged into master, this triggers a new build of the master branch. And I can show you here more of the internals. OK. So if I get the logs, because all the data that Jenkins X is using and storing is only in Kubernetes, using Kubernetes CRDs and Kubernetes APIs. So everything that is happening in the system, I can query the Kubernetes API for it. So I can see the logs of my pods. If I go up here, I can see my logs from my serverless Jenkins. It's running some shell script here. It's doing a change log. I mean, it's doing the normal stuff that the Jenkins file would do. And the logs are stored like any other pod log in Kubernetes. And I can see that here through the command line and using the Kubernetes APIs. Because I'm using Google, I can use a stack driver. So I can say, give me the logs for the containers that are Jenkins build steps. So I can also see that here, creating these directories, creating these files. So I have multiple ways, because it's all using Kubernetes APIs, I have multiple ways of accessing these APIs. So this is actually happening through Fluentd. My container logs are being shipped to Stack driver. More things. I have running here. Okay, this because I switched the Wi-Fi. This kind of broke. What happens is, this is Jenkins X, and with the serverless add-on, it's using Kubernetes Prow. Prow is an event handler that is used by Kubernetes CI for their own infrastructure. So we are reusing that. Every time there's a new event from GitHub, a new Pro job is getting created on the Kubernetes API. This is what it shows here. And oops. And every time a Pro job is created, we are using Knative build, the project that was announced by Google and others recently. And that creates a Knative build that starts a Jenkins master for just the duration of the build. And that Jenkins master is specialized and is optimized to just run very short loads. So it starts in 2-3 seconds. And it's here, one of these here, a build object. This is the Knative build object. And when the Knative build object gets executed, what happens is a new pod is created, and is one of these here. This one, no, this one. These are the pods that have been created while I was triggering different builds. So that's what is actually doing the execution of the Jenkins pipeline. So that's how all the plumbing works together. So let's go back to my staging environment. And the other thing that is going to happen, if it didn't happen already, is that my staging environment was automatically upgraded to the latest version from master. So I have my changes from my PR that was merged were automatically applied to my staging environment. You see release is 0059. And if I go to my production environment, release is still 0058. Okay, so this is all intended. Jenkins X has the concept of environments, so I can say Jenkins X uses the JX command line. But this is all using Kubernetes APIs, consider this. So I can say JX get environment. Okay. Let me make this bigger. And I see a staging. Let me put it back. So I have a staging. I have production environments. And if I do JX get apps, I will see that one of the apps I have is Croc Hunter. And I can see that here, production is 0059, and this is the URL. Sorry, staging is 0059, and production is 0058, and this is the URL. So those are where my apps are deployed. That gives me the control. The other interesting bit is when I show you the environments, there's these two GitHub URLs. So if I click on them, these are two repositories that implement the concept of GitOps. So everybody familiar with GitOps? Not everybody, okay. So GitOps means my deployment environment is backed by data in Git. So this is my staging environment. If I go to this YAML file, this says I have the Croc Hunter Jenkins X Helm chart deployed in version 0059. So if I were to trash my cluster, I could always reproduce what applications I have running and what versions by going to this environment. If I go to the production environment file, I can see version is 0058. So this is what is triggering what's happening in my cluster, not the other way around. This is the source of truth. If I go to the pull request in my staging environment, and this all happened automatically, I didn't have to do anything, 6 minutes ago, a bot has created a pull request that has upgraded Croc Hunter to 0059, which is the staging environment and master branch. And it has created this pull request that says promote Croc Hunter. This has been through a check, and this has been merged. And if you see the change log, basically this pull request just says upgrade from 0058 to 0059. Okay, so how do I get this into production? Well, I can use the JX command line. So I can do JX promote Croc Hunter Jenkins X -- version 0059 and -- environment production. And what this is going to do, it's going to ask me some questions. And it's going to create a pull request in my production Git repository to upgrade the version of the Helm chart. So it's going to create the pull request that it did it here. So if I go to my production repository, pull requests, I have one open pull request. Is going to go through some testing. This pull request basically says from 0058 to 0059. And this is going to trigger another promotion job in my Kubernetes cluster. It's going to check that everything is OK, and then it's going to upgrade my Helm chart to that version. If I show you Helm list, it's going to show, besides all the other stuff that I was playing with, here. What is it? Oh, OK. Well, it's not here. I'm in the wrong cluster. Oops. Okay. Oh, right. Okay. Yeah, wait a second. OK, so it will show up in a different place. Okay. So let me go back and let's see. OK, this production pull request has been automatically merged. So the Helm chart, I was in 0058 in production, and I refresh, and I'm in 0059, and I can see that my changes are already in production. So this shows you how to do GitOps, how to do pull requests, per pull request environments, where you can just see your changes before you merge them to master, and how to automate one change from a pull request to a deployment in production in Kubernetes without even having to look at Jenkins or doing anything in Jenkins, right? For good or worse. So how all this works on Jenkins X, and I lied when I said I didn't have more slides. I have more slides. So Jenkins X, when you install Jenkins X, it installs a bunch of things. I mean, it uses Docker. It uses two interesting projects from Google and Microsoft, which are Skaffold and Draft. Draft will auto-generate Docker files for you and Helm charts. Skaffold will manage the build of the Docker images. It uses Helm repositories and Helm charts for deploying. And it includes a Helm repository and a UI for the Helm repository. It includes Nexus, so you don't have to download things from the internet over and over again. Chart Museum to use to store the charts. And Knative, I'm proud, Knative to launch this serverless Jenkins. I'm proud for all the eventing. So this shows you what I have on an existing application, but how do I bring applications into Jenkins X? I can do a Jenkins X import, but I can also do a Jenkins X create quick start. And Jenkins X will ask me what type of quick start I want. So I say I want a Golang HTTP. Let's call it Golang KubeCon. And it will create a Git project in GitHub with everything pre-configured and pre-generated. So it's going to have a Helm chart, a Docker file, all the things that you need to just have this automated pipeline environment set up. So this was created, and my GitHub repository is created. I just need to do one thing, which is add my bot as a collaborator. So it can comment on my issues, and I need to approve it. Invitation here. Not here. Okay, I'm gonna get an email, which I have here somewhere. Oops, I closed everything. There it is. Okay, not this one, not this one, not this one. There it is. Open incognito window. Accept invitation. It was invitations with an S. So my bot is already part of my repo. And that's it. So I can create a pull request and say, let's change this thing, and let's do Jenkins X, KubeCon example. And same thing, let's create a new branch. And let's create the branch, the pull request. And my bot is already running, serverless Jenkins is running, and my bot is already working. So it's just a matter of creating a quick start, and then you can start from something that already works. And the other cool feature that Jenkins X has, if I go to the project I just created, Golang KubeCon, I can do JX create dev pod. And what this is going to create is a pod in Kubernetes that will have like a build pack already installed with all the dependencies you need to work on Go or Maven. We have several different types of dev pods. And I just need to run, here, JX sync in another terminal. And what's going to happen is that when my pod runs, if I make local changes in this directory, my local changes are going to be copied to the remote pod. And I can do development on the remote machine without having to use my laptop. So this is very cool, especially when you're doing Docker builds or compilation or something. You just use the cloud, somebody else's computer. And you don't have to worry about your not having enough memory or being too slow or downloading a 1 gigabyte Docker image. And while this is running, because this may take a little bit, so we have 98 seconds, so it's starting up. Okay, it is doing a little bit more, almost there. The other thing I want to show you, and the last thing, I believe. OK, well, all right, there it is. It's installing several things. So this is a normal pod. You can kubectl exec into it. You can delete it. You can create it. You can do whatever you want. Just JX create dev pod. That's all that stuff for you. You can, when you are done, you can do JX delete dev pod, and that's fine. And you can open more shells into it. So now I'm in the remote machine, so I can do a Docker pull, I don't know, like Debian. And this should be, well, it already exists. So this is my remote machine. So I should have here, as you see, I have the files that were in my local machine. And if I make a change, it will automatically show up there. So it allows me to develop in my machine, but run everything that is heavy on the remote machine. And the last thing I want to show you, I think, is here. So in this, you have two modes to run Jenkins X. One is with classic Jenkins, where it will install a Jenkins master for you. And you can use it like any other Jenkins master, but it will store everything in Kubernetes. So it's still deeply integrated in Kubernetes. You just have a Jenkins master as you are used to it, and you can install plugins and whatnot. And the other option is what I show you is serverless Jenkins, where nothing is really running other than the event handler and some plumbing. For good or worse, there's no UI yet for serverless Jenkins. I mean, it's a very tiny thing that we built, and we want it to scale and to really be more native to Kubernetes. And what CloudBees did is we built this UI that allows you to, this hooks into the Kubernetes CRDs, so it scales, and it will allow you to see everything in your cluster, whether it runs with Jenkins serverless or with classic Jenkins. So I can go and take a look at the branches, and the last builds that happened. I can also see the logs of the latest builds. Let me see. OK, this, I think it is pull request 24. Yeah. OK, so I can see the logs here. So this is talking to the Kubernetes APIs and getting the logs that you would get otherwise from the APIs, and show you in a nice UI. And you can get the information that I was showing about the environments. And so you have development, staging, and production. It tells me that in staging, I have this 0059 version of Croc Hunter. In production, I have 0059. It tells you how many pods are running of that application and all that information. And yeah, projects, environments, and users. So, OK. So that's all I have for now. So if you, OK, all right. If you want to attend DevOps World, Jenkins World, there's a code here for $100 off. Whoops, there it is. And if you have questions, we can get some questions now, or you can come to the CloudBees booth, where we are giving away T-shirts and other cool Jenkins stuff. And that's it for me. Thank you.